Hi everyone, my name's Anthony Bayou. I am the Youth Inclusion Manager at Rotherham United and welcome to another Millers Matters podcast. I am joined today by my very good friend from the South Yorkshire Fire Service, Fleur Holland. We're going to have a little chat about all the amazing things you guys are doing at the fire service in South Yorkshire, but also we're going to talk around some of the issues that might arise throughout the summer around sort of bonfires, around sort of is it water safety you call it? Sort of water safety and sort of going swimming into local lakes, pools, canals, all that kind of stuff. But we're also going to talk about the fire service and ways that young people can get involved throughout the talk. So welcome, Fleur. Thank you for coming. Just start. How are you? Are you okay?
Yeah, all good. Yeah, busy as ever. Yeah. So I work in community safety in Rotherham area, and a big part of my work is going into schools, educating young people around a variety of stuff, so ranging from staying safe particularly at this time of year, around open water. And then, you know, we have different presentations throughout the year, so on the run up to bonfire night, it's really important that we get our safety messages out, you know, stay away from bonfires, how to stay safe with fireworks, to the younger ones about sparkler safety, that kind of stuff, which that presentation does touch on arson and antisocial behaviour. And then these messages, they are repeated throughout the year with different presentations. But, you know, as we're going to this time of year, the big drive is around staying safe around water. We have experienced drownings in Rotherham. Last year, there were two almost identical drowning incidents at Ully Reservoir, which were an absolute tragedy. And we want these type of incidents to stop. Obviously, yeah, people know about the drownings, but there's many more incidents. There's the near misses that people don't get to know about. You know, across the site, so like at Manvers Lake, as well as Ully and at Rother Valley, you know, people do come into difficulty and they do have to be rescued by people on site, and they're not in the media. They're not shared across everywhere. So we know that it's a bigger issue than what the public may get to know about.
And I think that's the sort of positive and negative about our community is it is such a nice, thriving community with a lot of young people. And even though we only have a short space of summer, and we'd all like a little bit more, but we have some amazing venues around here, like you said, at Ully and Manvers and Rother Valley, and it's quite easy to go to those places as a young person with your friends, with your family, on those summer days and think, you know what, it's quite easy just for me, I'll get in and have a little bit of a swim, but then it's sort of those dangers. So what kind of things may impact people in that area? Sort of like, so what kind of things are under the water that could cause effects to people that are fancying a bit of a swim or a barbecue or anything like that? Sort of what implications could they face?
Well, there's quite a number of reasons that make swimming in open water unsafe. The main one is the temperature of the water. So, you know, especially here in the UK, it's extremely cold, and that's something that a lot of people are not aware of. So they might have been on holiday or they might have lived abroad, and the water is quite, you know, considerably warmer than what it is over here. You know, I know we do get stretches of warm weather, but it's not for as long as in the warmer countries. Yeah, and I think, you know, people that might have been swimming in the sea abroad, yeah, they know that it's taken the breath away a little bit as they've been edging into the water, but they don't realise that, you know, if they jump in, the impacts it has on the body, and that's what we do see. And it's been an issue down at Ully for a long time that young people are coming into that area, jumping off the bridge. And again, it's just that shock on your body. And this is what we really feel passionate about, to get into schools and educating young people, and then hopefully they can pass the message on to the parents as well, because not all parents necessarily know about the dangers. You know, so the extreme cold temperature really has a big impact on the body, and you could lose feeling in your arms and your legs. So even if you're a strong swimmer, your body will not escape the effects of the cold water. And then there's also there's often disease in some water,
It's quite a big thing, isn't it? I mean, I was a young person in the past, and I have done that, and I'm sure there's young people and parents watching it that probably have done it in the past. You know what I mean? I think everyone's done it at some point in their life, but it's quite difficult to be in that frame of mind when you're seeing your friends doing it and everyone's all right, but then it just takes that one moment, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, and that's what's really prevalent, even more so. I mean, I can remember peer pressure was around when I was growing up. It's always been there, but it's even more prevalent now, and the pressures that young people have, they want to be liked by the mates. If the mates are asking them to do something, they do it. They're not thinking of the consequences of doing something that's dangerous. And again, this is part of my messages in school, what we're sharing. They're not mates if they're asking you to do something that could put you or yourself or somebody else in danger. I asked them just to stay strong and know what's right and what's wrong. And jumping off a bridge or being dared to swim like at Manvers Lake, there's an island that the kids often swim to, and it is quite a long way from the shoreline, so they're in that water for a long time. The mates will edge them on, I dare you to swim across there. But no, it really is not safe. So going back to the other dangers, as well as certain diseases maybe in the water, but there's also debris. I know out at Manvers, they had a big clear up there, and they pulled out. God, it were about 20 shopping trolleys from the supermarket. You really don't want to get tangled up in stuff like that. No, and then there's an undercurrent that you can't see from the surface. That you could, there's potential for you to get dragged under. So yes, all this combined together, it just makes it so dangerous for you to, so our advice is, go and have your fun somewhere else. Or if you are really, really adamant that you want to get in water, go to part of a structured swimming organisation. There's a swimming club called Swim Your Swim, and they welcome people from, all communities to come and have a go at it. And the difference there is it's in a controlled environment, so they've got a safety person signing in people in and out. They're definitely not drinking and swimming, which we do get. And they're all aware of the dangers, and they've all had that safety brief before they go in. So that's the difference.
I sort of think you touched on it a little bit, and it seems to be that every time we have a different kind of podcast, and I mentioned to you earlier some of the stuff that we've done sort of stuff around knife crime and sort of racism, we've done stuff around mental health, but it does come back to that sort of peer pressure that you sort of touched on, and that mental well-being and that mental strength. But it's also how it doesn't just affect one person. It can quite easily affect your friends that are in that situation. It can affect passers-by that feel that they want to help and support, so they'll jump into that lake or that river, and then it sort of causes a ripple effect of who it affects and the sort of causes and the issues it could have on a long term in a community as well, which is like you said, it's really upsetting, isn't it? But it's about just sort of putting yourself first, isn't it? And having that strength to do that. And I know you guys do some amazing jobs at the fire service, and you work quite closely with us as a community in the past, especially through the pandemic. So are you all right to sort of touch on some of the stuff and the partner work that we've done over the past few years? So
I mean, I'd met Carol Foster
here
just before the pandemic, and just made her aware of what we could, how we could help at NCS and Rotherham United, and then the pandemic struck. So I think Carol, having us in mind, knowing what our offer was, to come and provide sessions for young people, and I know that because of the pandemic, the NCS programme wasn't running how it usually would run, and there were no residential residential taking place, but you were in a position to, you know, everything was risk assessed, and you did get the chance to get the students in. So I know Carol reached out to us and said, you know, what could you provide? So, you know, we organised some road safety sessions, and also some first aid sessions, team building. We had our HR down talking about requirements to become a firefighter, because as well, you know, work in schools, it's not just about giving our safety messages. I feel really strongly about, you know, helping to inspire the young people. I were only up at a secondary school yesterday in Rotherham, and I got a group of young people, and they were looking at us fire engine and talking to firefighters. And initially I asked them, I said, anybody considered a career in the fire service? And they're all like, no, never thought about it. But then, you know, after 20 minutes, half an hour speaking to us, and we had them trying on BA sets and looking at they were looking at us cutting equipment. They just had a presentation around safe driving. So I thought it were a good thing to complement that by getting them to look at some of our equipment that we do have to use if we call to a road traffic collision. And then at the end of the session, I said, I'll ask you again. Is there anybody, because they were full of it, you could tell with the body language and stuff, and they were raving about it. And I said, I'll ask you again, anybody fancying a career at fire service? And this young lad, who still had his BA set on, he actually went, well, yeah, I think I do actually. And I thought, yeah, we've changed the mind of one person.
Yeah. And I know you've done like the community work you guys do. I mean, it's quite easy to look at you as a fire service and think, oh, well, they come into school, they do the alarm checks, they do this. You see them at like, you might see them at like the Rotherham show where you do the chip pan fires and all that kind of stuff. But the amount of impact you have on the community, like you said, it's not just about the negative things and telling people what or what not to do. It is that inspiration. And I know in the past you've come up to kick sessions with us, and you've had the firefighters playing football, which has been absolutely incredible. The guys have loved it. But it's having that conversation. And I think for us, that partnership work is then inspiring those young people to be in the cadets and to join the fire service. And I know we've had kids from NTS join in the past through the cadets. And I know you do a lot of work with sort of local refugees, and you've had refugees that have come as volunteers as well, haven't you?
We have. You know, that were absolutely amazing. I first met a gentleman called Mohammed. I were asked to go to a Sheffield hotel. They've been having some issues, fire safety issues. So I went over to deliver a presentation again to make sure that people are staying safe. People, you know, they've come and they're living in a hotel in Sheffield. They're a bit unsure what the rules are, and you know, things that we need to make sure take place. For example, you know, when the fire alarm goes off, make sure that everybody goes to the assembly point and stuff. And I really had to get these messages over. And Mohammed, who was actually living in the hotel himself, his English skills were just second to none. And jokingly, early on in the session, I said, oh, you're doing a fantastic job of translating. You know, I could give you a job. I mean, not me personally. So anyway, to cut long story short, he's now actually a registered volunteer for the fire service, and he has been out to other presentations with me because he speaks Arabic, and he's translated, which has made my job a lot easier, because you can only do so much with your hands and trying to communicate. So yeah.
I think that's why it's so nice to like work with people like yourself and the fire service and the police and other organisations, because it is really that community feeling, isn't it? It's not just we're not just doing this because it's a job. We're doing it because we care about Rotherham and we want Rotherham to be a better place. And I just think that's absolutely incredible. So what does an average day for Fleur Holland sort of look like for people that might be interested in joining the fire service? What kind of stuff do you sort of get up to inspire the next generation of people coming through?
Well, I could tell you a little bit about my role, but I think the thing that people be most interested in is like the role of a firefighter on duty. Yeah, I mean, I was firefighting for a long time before I went into this job, so I have been to a lot of incidents. But a typical day for me at this present time is I would start a day off by visiting a school and doing a water safety assembly, or it could be an assembly around arson and antisocial behaviour. We do quite a lot of partnership work, so one of my responsibilities is to go onto our incident recording system, look at what incidents have been happening in Rotherham, and if there's any referrals to be made, because we're just wanting to prevent further incidents from happening, so that can take a lot of time up. And fire cadets as well, as you know, I'm heavily involved with fire cadets. We're recruiting new people. We've also got a cohort of cadets who, through the pandemic, completed a BTEC. So yeah, that was really pretty challenging. They started online, just on Zoom sessions, and they've all now passed.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and then we've now got a new cohort who are under, on the way with it. So yeah, that takes a lot of my time up, but I don't class it as work. I really enjoy it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So let's go into that sort of fire cadets then. So if you've got a sort of young person watching this that thinks, you know what, I'm a little bit inspired after this. Might have seen something at school or watched a movie where a fireman saved families from a building or something like that. What would be the sort of first step for a young person that would be interested in joining the cadets?
So cadets is a once a week session, that's for a couple of hours, and I think the main thing what young people enjoy is the fact that it's full of practical activities. So they do pretty much what the firefighters do, and they get an opportunity to put ladders up and do a bit of ladder climbing, run out hoses, and we also give them opportunity to put our BA sets on the back, and we talk to them about our rescue techniques and procedures, introduce them to a breathing apparatus set, how it works, identifying the parts, and again, this is all good preparation for if they want a career as a firefighter. During pandemic, because we were via Zoom, like I've just said, so we weren't getting many face-to-face opportunities on the fire station. So we've been doing lots of community action projects. So as part of their programme, they have to do 3 community action projects, and that could be a fundraiser or a work in the community like a litter pick. They've been doing all sorts recently. They've been planting trees at Wentworth Woodhouse and planting flowers in a different place, all these conservation projects that have been really greatly received from various organisations. And again, not all cadets want to be firefighters, but the beauty of coming to cadets is they've then got something to take away. They've got a qualification. They'll provide them with a reference, for a job. So it's something of value to put onto a young person's CV. So whatever career path they choose to go down, it's a big positive thing that they've got this interaction with fire service.
It really is that sort of package, isn't it, of sort of being part of a team, which is a big thing for a lot of young people, being part of something, having those next steps into further education or development, or even if it's team build work or looking at yourself and having those leadership qualities. But then even then you talked about your sort of social action side of things and doing something for your community and those little young people that live within those communities as well, which is absolutely amazing and inspiring. I think just from our point of view, obviously we've touched on quite a lot there. We sort of spoke about the safety of the summer that's coming up. We spoke about obviously your amazing work that you do. We spoke about how young people can get signed up, and if you are interested, what we'll do is we'll put all the information in the link on the website, so they can sort of reach out to yourself or the fire service to sign up if that's something they're interested in. I think just from our point of view, summer is just right round the corner, and I know it's a very busy time for you guys. I know it's coming up to that point. So if you could sort of give a message to parents that might be watching, or young people that are watching ahead of a very busy and fingers crossed hot summer, what would that sort of message be?
Well, again, and this is something that I say in schools every day. We're not the fun police. We're really not. We're just here to keep people safe, educate people, because not everybody's aware of the dangers. For example, disposable barbecues. We do get called to a lot of grass fires. The cause of a huge fire started with a disposable barbecue. that, you know, people come out having a bit of fun, having a nice afternoon. They're not really realising that, you know, that small little foil barbecue could cause like so much devastation if, you know, it sets fire to the grass and then it spreads, and, you know, before we know it, we could have like a big woodland on fire. There's a devastation to wildlife then, but then also that has a big impact on us as a service, because like going back to the summer of 2020, you know, we were out at Hatfield Moors for, God, it went over, I think we were there for over a couple of weeks, and we had so many fire engines that were pulled in just because of the sheer the area that the fire, you know, involved in fire. So then, with then so thin on the ground, as you know, the fire stations, so then further incidents coming in, the number of fire engines available is like going, it's less and less. And again, it's not just not just barbecues, campfires getting out of control. And again, you know, young people like to make dens and go out and have a nice time and you know, make campfires and stuff. But again, they can get out of control. So our advice is, you know, whether it's barbecuing or campfires, just stick to the designated areas that are designed for this type of activities. You know, and then you can just help to keep fire engines available for, you know, serious accidents, which unfortunately does happen.
Yeah. And I suppose that's with the swimming as well, isn't it? And sort of driving cars, like you've touched on, and stuff like that. It's just about being smart and putting yourself first and being the safest you can be.
It is, yeah, and not only from a professional capacity, I'm also a mother, you know, I've got 2 children, 2 boys, and yeah, it's just from a parent's point of view, we just want to keep us kids safe, and they don't always aware of the dangers from a young age. You know, they do tend to think they're invincible and, you know, and it's never going to happen to them. But there's one day that it could happen. So, you know, listen to our messages when we're talking. It's just around, we're not wanting to quash anybody's fun or anything like that. It's just to keep you safe. And as well, the impact it has on us as firefighters. You know, I mean, I've not been to a fire for a few years now because I've not been operational since doing this role. But, you know, I do have incidents that are still in my mind. Luckily, they're at the back of my mind. But I do know that there's firefighters that did attend the Ully incident last year when poor Sam lost his life. And then also there's some of the same crew actually went on to the further incident at Ully. And the impact that has on, we're not superhuman. You know, we do our training to, you know, to make sure that we can do our job to our best, but nothing prepares you and nothing can really, you know, take away that feeling when you've gone to an incident and it's not been the outcome that you want, and it's particularly worse when it's a young person. So the impact, and I do know firefighters, they are still working, but you know, they've suffered PTSD from certain incidents, and it'll never go away. We just have to, you know, get through it. We join fire service because we want to make a difference. We want to help people. We want to save people, but it's not always the outcome that we want, and that never leaves you. But just lastly, just because, you know, around the role of a firefighter, because I spoke about what I do with my school interventions and, you know, my partnership working and stuff like that. But for those people that are considering a career in the fire service, I do know that we are open, our recruitment hotline, I think it does open in June. Yeah. So for people wanting to do that, they have to go onto our website, register their interest, and then they will be contacted. You know, if I can do it, you know, people out there listening and watching this can do it. It is pretty tough because there's, you know, there's so many people that want to become firefighters, and just for very few jobs that are available every year. And again, because of the nature of the work, you know, we are looking for people that, you know, can think on the feet, you know, people that are quick thinking, but You've not got to be brains of Britain to be a firefighter, and you've not got to be the world's strongest man or woman. You've just got to have a passion for helping people, not be afraid of hard work, and yeah, like I say, you're not going to be super fit, you've just got to be on it with your fitness. But like we all should. We all should.
I think there's some really powerful messages in there, and I think really inspirational as well. And I'd go back to it again. I absolutely love the amazing work you do, and we've spoke quite fondly in the past of saying that I think if I ever decided to leave the football lifestyle, I think I'd be giving you a call to see what availability was there.
I could see you in fire kit on Saturday, yeah, definitely.
But I think just from us, Fleur, just thank you for coming in. Thank you for sharing those experiences. We'll put all the information for the sort of fire cadets, for any sort of kick sessions where you guys attend, but also we touched on NCS there, which is obviously residential in the summer for young people as well, age 15 to 17. So we'll get all that on there within the video and in the description. And if you have want any more information or any questions, or you want to sign up, you can contact Fleur. But for now, guys, thank you so much for coming, Fleur. It's been great chatting to you as always, and we'll see you next time, guys.